In this video, I'm going to demonstrate a spreadsheet system that we developed for our client. This spreadsheet is designed to manage a large volume of data without significant slowdown in day-to-day operations. We will demonstrate the sheet's features as well as teach you how to operate the sheet's various functionality. So, let's get started. When you open the inventory system, the first sheet you are greeted with is the config sheet. Currently, this sheet is only used to set the recipients of the reorder emails. We'll go into more detail on that later. Emails that are entered here should be entered in the single cell separated by commas. Each sheet is color-coded to show the level of user interaction expected in each sheet. The green seen on the overview means that the user should only be viewing these sheets. No changes should be made to any aspect of these sheets as the information is generated dynamically. The light cyan denotes a dialog sheet. These are sheets where information is entered to affect the database. Dark blue sheets are report sheets. These sheets have limited interaction where the user will be adjusting the date or other parameters of a report that needs to be generated. Light orange sheets are database table sheets. These sheets are used to enter relatively static information such as supplier and department details. For the majority of these sheets, once information is entered, it should not be deleted as it can break links that reference the record's ID. The dark red inventory table should never be directly edited. In practice, this sheet should remain hidden at all times and not edited in any way. The red sheets, similar to the inventory sheets, should not be edited directly. These are temporary caches that are used to speed up data retrieval during constant operation. So now that you know what the various sheets do, let's go over some basic operations. The first thing we need to do is to populate the various tables with information. The supplier table holds all of the details of the various suppliers' inventory items are sourced from. An ID system should be created to track these suppliers. Once a supplier is added, it should never be deleted. Deleting a supplier reference will break any previous inventory record that references it. Information can be entered here like you would enter in any spreadsheet. It's important to maintain a consistent ID system. Let's add some example suppliers. Next, we have the department table. This functions similarly to the previous table. As mentioned before, once created, departments should not be deleted. We have some example departments here, but let's add a few others. The cost center table functions similarly to the other tables. Let's add a few cost centers here. The storage location table stores the various location inventory might be housed. Here we have some examples of a position naming scheme. Here, warehouse 1 has 4 areas that are being tracked. Each of these 4 areas are given their own code so that they can be managed as part of the inventory system. While any name can be used for the location type, the type warehouse should only be used for internal storage locations. It is critical that any warehouse type location has this type set. This is because the backend coding relies on a warehouse type to generate reports. An item is considered used once it is no longer stored in a warehouse type location. The category listing table stores a listing of all of the item categories. Categories must be added before items are added. The item table is the only table in the system that has a dedicated entry form. While data can be entered manually, it is recommended to use the form wherever possible, as it can prevent some common mistakes. Using the form is obviously not realistic for initial setup, where hundreds of items may need to be added. Let's add new items using both methods. The item code for assets should be their serial number or license plate. It is critical to set the reorder level of assets to -1. After data is entered into any of these sheets, the cache should be updated. This is done by going into the System menu, Cache, Reload all caches. Now that we have our various tables populated, let's process an invoice. Let's clear up some of this clutter by switching over to User Mode. User Mode hides all of the database sheets and only shows the overview sheet. Let's go from the top menu, select Inventory, New Invoice. This takes us to the New Purchase dialog. All new inventory items should enter the database through an invoice. This allows for proper tracking of inventory item sources. Drop-down menus are available to enter information that is referenced from other parts of the spreadsheet. Let's quickly fill out this invoice. First, let's select the vendor. Now, let's enter the date and the invoice ID. The invoice total remains blank for now. Let's select which department these items are for and select a cost center if applicable. Now we will enter the items in the invoice and enter the quantity and unit cost, as well as select where the item will be warehoused. Do not add currency symbols during data entry. Once all of the items have been added, you can hit the Calculate Invoice button. This is not necessary, but it can help you confirm that the invoice information is correct and matches the physical invoice. If everything is correct, we can hit Submit Invoice. This moves the information from the form into the database. Okay, now let's look at transferring inventory from one area or department to another. We can hide this sheet. Now let's go to Inventory, then New Transfer. Transfers are done similarly to invoices, except you have to choose the origin for both the department and the storage location. Let's enter a transfer now. Like with the invoice, you can calculate the transfer before submitting it. Once all of the values are confirmed, the transfer can be submitted to the database. We can also adjust the inventory manually. This may be done after stock taking or during initial setup. From the top menu, select Inventory and then New Adjustment. First, the date is entered, then each item is entered along with how the balance should be adjusted. If the item is being removed, a negative value should be used. Once all of the adjustments have been entered, it can be submitted. This ends the data entry portion of the sheet. Let's switch over to Reports. To enter report mode, click the Modes menu and select Report Mode. Here, the various types of reports can be seen in the tabs below. A quick note about the reports. This spreadsheet does not use any formulas. This is primarily for performance. Spreadsheet references used in a spreadsheet this complex is likely to cause significant slowdown over time. As such, reports are done on demand rather than live. This means reports have to be generated. With that explanation out of the way, let's generate some reports. First, we select the spending category. We can report by supplier, item category, cost center, or department. After this, we select the time period we want the report for. Once this is done, select System from the top menu, Reports, then Generate Spending Report. This report shows the total spending over the period of time set. The date and time a report is generated is shown on the report. This can be used to tell if a report is still valid. The inventory history report shows the change in quantity of a specific item in a specific department or the entire organization over a period of time. First, the item is selected. Then, the department can be selected. If this is left blank, the report is generated for the entire organization. Then, the time period is entered. The increment determines how the time range is broken down, either into days, months, or years. The item log shows any transaction related to a specific item. It also shows how much of each item is expected in each warehouse. The asset log shows any changes in storage location an asset has had over its useful life. Going back to the overview sheet, we can see the reorder items. These are items whose values are at or below the reorder level. Once per day, an email is sent out to all recipients set in the config sheet, notifying them of any item that is below the reorder point. This page also shows the spending for the previous month and the current month. The last 5 transactions are also shown on this page. The overview page can be reloaded from System, Reports, Reload Overview. The system automatically reloads all caches and updates all reports once per day. This frequency can be increased if required. This brings us to the end of this demonstration. We thank the university for this opportunity to develop this system, and I thank everyone else for watching.